I do want to ask you about the EB2 NIW. I know you're a recipient of one because you shared that when we were connecting offline. So yeah, what is it? Why would one need it?
Yes. So there's a lot of context before this that I would like to explain. So in US, we have two types of visas. One is an immigrant visa and one is a non-immigrant visa. So in the non-immigrant visa, we have visas like F1 visa, we have L1 visa, we have O1 visa. Whereas on the immigrant visas, we have EB2, EB1, EB3, all the employment-based visas, EB5 included. And then we also have like marriage-based visas like IR1, IR2, immediate relative, and then sibling-based visas. So all these are immigrant visas. The difference is non-immigrant visas means that you are coming to the US, but you don't have the intent to stay here long term. Whereas immigrant visa means that you have the intent to stay here long term. So this is the key difference.
Got it.
And H1B visa is such visa which has dual intent, which also has a non-immigrant intent and also has an immigrant intent. So this is like just the basics. Now when you have to move from a non-immigrant visa to an immigrant visa, there is a process for that. So let's say now you want to like live in the country long term, and let's say initially your H1B is given for 3 years, and then you can extend it for 3 more years.
Yeah.
But now if you want to live in the country long term beyond those 6 years, or you are an F1 visa and you want to like live in the country beyond that, so you have to convert your visa to an immigrant visa. So yeah, so this is the entire context. Now where does EB1, EB2, EB3 fit? So EB3 is a general, like let's say category. If you have a bachelor's, you have some skills, so you can transition from your, let's say, H1B or F1 to EB3 through the perm process. Or if you have a master's, then you can target EB2 category, which is like you have a specialized degree, you are having some sort of like extraordinary like special ability, not extraordinary ability. And if you have an extraordinary ability, you can target EB1 category. So this is, and for the EB2 category, then you have to go through the perm process. Like now a company or a employer has to file for you to make the case, okay, yes, you are eligible for EB3, you are eligible for EB2, or you are eligible for, even for EB1, I think there is a category for that employer can file for you.
Okay.
Now, so you are always dependent on company, and within like last few years, that timeline for getting the perm process and everything is getting so much extended.
I have heard
And
that.
you have
Yeah.
to prove in that entire category, like when you're filing that, the company is not able to find a US person to take like that specialized job. So, and that is getting harder and harder. So the next best thing that someone can do, if you are, let's say, not having that extraordinary ability, but still are having some sort of profile, is getting that EB2 NIW. So in that process, what you have to do is you are filing for yourself, and you can skip the entire perm process. So perm process takes 15 to 20 months additional. Whereas as EB2 NIW, you can take that charge and file for I-140, which is the final application that needs to get approved to make you eligible for EB2 or EB3, like have that final approval. So you can file that directly. So saving you through that entire process and not even depending on the company. So you file that by yourself. And the only thing that you have to prove is that whatever work you have been doing or you've done in the past is in the favor of United States. That you are doing it in favor of United States, and your profile is set up in such a way that it will be helping US in the future, or it is also helping in the present, or it has also helped in the past. So you have to make that case, and you take help of an external law firm, or you take help of, even sometimes your company can also help you with that process. If let's say you don't have a lot of tries left or your timeline is very short, then the company can also help you with that. So this is the entire process, and you have to make your profile such that you're proving to the United States that your application, let's say in my case, it was as an ML engineer, as an applied scientist, having worked with like all these like big tech companies, having contributed a lot to the US already, TikTok US and Amazon Prime Video, and my like research work that I've done in the past, having some citations, all of that included is in the favor of United States. I'm working in the industry, which is AI, which is very critical in the global competition at the moment. So it all proves that I'm working in the favor of United States. So you have to make that case with the help of a lawyer and just prove that. And yeah, then you can get accepted and become a recipient of EB2 NIW.
Wow. That's crazy. First question right off the bat. Why is this the first time that I'm hearing about this? Like, you would agree, right? This is not exactly popular. Would you agree, firstly?
Yes, it is not popular, but recently a lot of content creators have started giving out all this information, which is good, but still it is not that common.
Why do you think is that? Why is that? Why is this not? Because again, I have nowhere close to a profile for like an EB1, but I know what it is. I know it exists, right? I know about the O1 because like I see people on LinkedIn and such.
Yes.
Why is this lesser known of?
Yeah, because I think people are just used to the default option, which is like you will get the EB2 directly through the company. They will file that process because people are doing that. Why do I know this? Because 10 of my people are also doing that. Can I do better? A lot of people just don't ask that question. They just accept, okay, this is the reality and we'll just go with it because a lot of my friends are also going through it. So this is number one. And the second is it's obviously like slightly hard. It's although underrated, but it is also hard. You have to take charge of your entire application. You have to put effort. You have to pay. I had to pay around $9,000 to $10,000 in total to get that application. So
And there's obviously no guarantee of it getting approved, right? Despite you paying that much. Yeah.
yes, I mean I took an option of like having a money back guarantee, which was good. So if
Interesting.
my application gets rejected, then I get entire money back, minus the premium processing fee, etc. But
Got it.
yeah, so I took that option, which has a slightly like higher premium for the fee, but
Makes sense.
I just took that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then how did you go about, I guess, doing the research, preparing for all of this? Because obviously you only get one shot. It's not like you can continue to do this like a hobby, right? So, what was like, did you have outside counsel? Did you have lawyers helping you?
So I did like, yes, I had to hire an external law firm because internally my process was going with the perm process and it was taking super long. So I couldn't like stop that. So I just let it be as it is. And I just reached out to external like law firms, checking with them, like if my profile fits and all. So I basically reached out to two folks and one of them, two law firms, one of them said no. The person who said no, and he was like actually pretty rude, and he's very popular on LinkedIn. You know that guy like Weber something, Bob or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That sounds familiar for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So he was like quite rude. I reached him out like with a very nice message, and he simply replied with no, or like I cannot work with you and so on. It was a very rude response that I got from him. But then
Weird.
yeah, yeah. And then I like randomly was checking on other law firms on Google and stuff. So I just encountered like one other law firm, and I just saw its like Google reviews. And then I looked at those people's like LinkedIn profiles, were they genuine? And majority of the reviews were like very positive. So I just like emailed them, got a good response, and was aligning with all the things that he was discussing about. So I was like, okay, fine, let's go ahead with this. I did not like spend months and months just researching.
Yeah.
I just spent like 15 days or probably like 2 weeks understanding the process, figuring out which law firm I need to go with, and then just start on the process after that.
Makes sense. So then just to clarify that I'm understanding this right, now that you are a recipient of this, what that means is you essentially have a infinite runway to like exist in the United States. Would that
Yes.
be right?
So yeah, so the benefit of EB2 NIW. So now let me explain this. So the benefit is now if I have to switch jobs,
Mhm.
I don't have to start the perm process again for a new job. Or if I have a change in entity within my current company, let's say if I switch teams or change location, I don't have to start the entire perm process again, ensure that my like no US person can fit that position and
Got
got
it.
the I-140, new I-140. So all of that is like now I'm free of that.
Mhm.
My I-140 is based on my profile. So I can switch jobs. Just I have to still maintain my H-1B. H-1B is still my visa until my date becomes current and I get that EB2 visa.
Got it.
I still have to maintain the H-1B. But the benefit is I can easily like switch companies and there is like no issue as such as long as I'm able to extend my H-1B
Nice.
based on this approved I-140 that I have.
Got it. And obviously, I can appreciate the value that that comes with, right? It's just so much peace of mind for you to,
Yes.
not have to worry about, oh, what am I going to do? What's the next
Yes,
step here?
this also increases your chance for let's say later on getting EB1 or later on getting any other visa of merit based, right? Because you've already cleared one way of like getting a visa which is merit based. EB2 NW is a merit based visa.
That's
So
right.
you have already gotten that based on your profile. You have gotten experience letters from, let's say I got experience letters from Amazon Prime Video's director or from TikTok's like head of product and TikTok's like my senior manager who I was working with. So I've gotten like all these experience letters, have some publications. So now I can also make my case in the future for EB1. And given that I already have a priority date, that can be ported towards EB1 and then I can easily get a green card quickly. So given that my I-140 is already approved and I already have a priority date fixed. So this is another benefit you get from EB2, like quick filing of this steps, and then worrying later about making your case for EB1 or making case for any other visa that you want.
Wow. That is not only quite incredible, mostly because I've been in this country like almost 6 years now as a non-immigrant, and this is literally the first that I'm hearing of any of this. Naturally, you can extrapolate that, which I'm sure you already know this, but yeah, clearly there is a lot of gap here. I feel like in immigrants, or I guess non-immigrants under the eyes of the law, in the US that just don't know about this.